just to kind of let you know, I'm going to talk about stream flow augmentation in Bertrand Creek. And I've been working on the geology and hydrogeology of Whatcom County for over 30 years. And also I've been working on water resources related projects for that same amount of time throughout Whatcom County as well as many other places. And this project's pretty important to me because it's one of those few projects that I've been able to work on that you can actually see the results and you see the benefits. So it's not a lot of study involved in it. It's actually physically getting something done and getting water into the creek. Give you an idea, most of you probably know Bertrand Creek's small lowland stream, located just west of the city of Lyndon in Whatcom County, and it flows through mostly agricultural lands from southern BC to the south and eventually merges in with the Nooksack River just to the southwest of Lyndon. The creek's been administratively closed to consumptive water rights for a long time now, mainly due to perception or observations of potential late summer and fall flows in the stream. WAC 173-501 sets the June, July, August minimum in-stream flows in the stream at 25, 21, and 13 cubic feet per second. And as you can see from this chart, I've pulled out a couple of years in the early 2000s, 2003, 2006. Showing precipitation in the basin as well as flows. And the things I want you to note is in June, during those time periods, the flow was roughly 10 CFS. Again, minimum in-stream flow is 25, substantially less. In July, ranges from 3 to roughly 5. 21 CFS is the minimum in-stream flow. And then in August, it's actually been less than 2 CFS. Again, the minimum in-stream flow is 13. And these precipitation amounts for those 3 months, those are kind of a little bit on the droughty side. Those are the drier years. Bertrand WID has been exploring ways to improve flow in Bertrand Creek for roughly a decade. And they've identified and have been pursuing basically a two-prong approach. One would be transferring of surface water rights that are directly on the stream to groundwater wells that are located further away from the stream, and direct stream flow augmentation from groundwater wells. They're pumping water out of the groundwater system right into the stream during the critical time periods. And I want to point out, when I say Bertrand WID, there's a lot of people and a lot of agencies and things involved in this. In particular, most of the work and things that I'm going to be talking about probably wouldn't have happened without direct financial support from the Washington State Department of Ecology. Also, there are a number of farm entities located with the Bertrand WID who have donated a significant amount of time, energy, enthusiasm, infrastructure, and other resources. And then specifically, I just wanted to mention that those are Mayberry Farms, Enfield Farms, Kurt Mayberry Farms, EB Farms, Lakeland Farms. And there's also been some other local landowners that have helped us out with this project. First, I want to talk about the surface water transfers, and these are essentially taking certificated surface water rights that have been used for decades out of the stream and transferring them through the legal process, the change process with ecology, to groundwater wells. And you can see there's 7 water rights here that have been transferred off of the stream since about 2010 to 2016. There are more that have happened. These are the ones that I happen to have been involved in, but there are a few more, and certainly between 2000 and 2010 there was probably a few others. But if you look over on the far right of the column there, you see they total to about 2.2 CFS, or cubic feet per second, which is almost 1,000 GPM. That's a significant amount of water when you think about, again, back to that other chart that showed that we had flows in the stream that were around 2 CFS in August. This just shows the points of diversions for those surface water rights. You can see Bertrand Creek is kind of that blue line, purple line that I have in there, and the blue triangles are where the original points of withdrawal were from that stream. They were transferred distances away from the stream into groundwater wells. The yellow triangle at the bottom is the Rathbone Road gauge on Bertrand Creek. It's an important gauge because we can get good stream flow data from that on 15-minute intervals. This is that same table, but I added a couple lines to it. You can see I've added 2015, 2016, which most of you probably remember were kind of droughty years, droughty summers also. They were fairly dry. You can see on the far right column that they had similar 3-month rainfall patterns, if not a little bit less. And if you look in June, instead of having, say, roughly 10 CFS, we've got somewhere between 10 and 15 in the creek. In July, instead of having 3 to 5, we've got 6 to maybe almost 10 CFS. And really it shows up in August where, again, when we had less than 2 CFS, now we've got roughly 6 CFS in that stream. And that's really directly related to transferring a lot of these irrigation water rights off the stream. So a very significant increase in flow during, again, low flow times of the year when we've got droughty type conditions. Now, direct stream flow augmentation is the concept here is we take existing wells, in our case right now for Bertrand Creek, but it could be a well that you put in specifically for this, and you pump groundwater out of the stream or out of the well and pump it directly into the stream. And you aerate that water. The picture over there is actually an aeration structure that was designed by Dale Buys at Reichart and Eby. The headwork sprays the water down on this aluminum bed, which then foams it and lets it get full of oxygen before it goes into the stream. And the groundwater that we're doing this with is being pumped out of a shallow, unconfined aquifer that has a lot of storage in it. So we can pump that water out in the summertime and put it into the river. And if you can kind of think about this, that there's a deficit that you're creating in that aquifer from this pumping. And that deficit migrates kind of slowly down, hydraulically down gradient towards the stream. Over several months. It takes a long time for it to get there. Well, the overall concept here is that prior to it reaching the stream and creating a significant impact, it's November around here. It rains a lot. We have data to show that the shallow aquifer up there recovers within a matter of a couple of weeks till it fills up to the maximum amount that it can fill up, and everything just spills over at that point. So therefore that deficit is essentially erased prior to impacting the stream. But even if some of it does impact the stream and carry over, it's really impacting the stream when the stream's already full of water. It's probably meeting or exceeding in-stream flow, so it's really not an issue. The Bertrand WID acquired a temporary permit just this year in the fall of 2017 and started the first phase of this project just last week on September 13th. These are the two red dots there show the locations of the augmentation points, so that's where we're entering water into the stream. Again, you can see there a couple miles, 2 to 3 miles upstream of the Rathbone Creek Gage there. This blue line on here is the gauging information, the stream flow, if you will, at the Rathbone Gage, and it starts on the far left. It's starting on midnight of September 12th, so the day before we started our augmentation. And as you can see, the creek's running at about 8.4 CFS and fairly steady for quite a bit of time. At about 12:30 on the 13th, we started pumping in 515 GPM, which is 1.1 CFS into the stream. You can see for quite a while there, nothing really happened. Roughly 10 hours later, we started to see the gauge respond to this additional water that was being put into the stream. And you think about it, it's only a couple miles downstream, right? But when you put the water in there, it's got to fill in all that storage area and everything else between here and there. And eventually it reaches up and it can start affecting the stream. It took about 18 hours before it reached its maximum amount about 6:30 a.m. on September 14th at about 9.5 CFS, which just so happens to perfectly match the amount of water that we were putting in. So essentially we put in 1.1 CFS, we saw a 1.1 CFS increase at the Rathbone Gage. So it's measurable, it's quantifiable. We can check this on a gauge and we can watch it the whole time, which is really a good thing. So in the future, the Bertrand WID wants to pursue getting a permanent water right permit for more stream flow augmentation. They need to develop more augmentation sites. It could be existing infrastructure from cooperative farmers, potentially putting in their own wells, a number of things like that. And their goal is to be able to put in about 10 cubic feet per second of augmentation water from numerous sites along the stream. And if you think back right now we're at, say, 6 to 8, 6 to 9 CFS in the stream in August. This summer, which was incredibly dry, it was actually drier than any of those other ones I showed on there. And if we can get that up and add another 10 CFS to it, we'll be well above the minimum in-stream flow for August. And we can make similar impacts on June and July. They also want to pursue some additional surface water to groundwater transfers, which again, that actually has a really big bang for the buck, because for every amount of water that you pull off the stream and put to the groundwater system, and hopefully a certain distance away, a significant distance away from the stream, is really showing up as being a very major benefit. However, due to the recent Foster decisions, made that a little bit trickier, a little bit harder to pull off, but we're still pursuing that. And thank you.